Welcome back as we go through the book, The Richest Man in Babylon. Again, this is something I should have gone through this book a long time ago. I should have had it in me. I'm encouraging you to get it and to get this in you as well, because this is what the Christian space, the Christian world, this is what we're missing. We are missing these strategies, and actually it's the right mindset and perspective on how to use our money to get wealth. And there's some interesting things in here. Obviously, not all of this is going to parallel with the Bible. We have the saying, just chew the grass, leave the sticks, spit it out. You know what the word says and what the word doesn't say. So you know there's advice we can take. But so far, this has been pretty right on. It was written in 1926. And what we're going to uncover and unpack today is some interesting things where you can see really the enemy just hasn't changed. I mean, maybe the packaging of his strategies and tactics are a little bit different, but man, it's all the same mindsets. It's all the same objections. It's all the same excuses that men and women are making today they were making back in the 20s. And actually, this references Babylon thousands of years ago. I would venture to say it's a lot of the same stuff, a lot of the same excuses people have been making this whole time. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. But if you're excited for this series, make sure you like and subscribe to this. We've got more of these videos coming out. Man, it's going to be awesome. If you're new to the channel, my name's Travis Peters. I have an education company where I help Christians dominate their finances and escape the budgeted life. Every other financial teacher is going to put you into a budget. I'm going to show you how to get out. All right? I'm not going to tell you to stop going to Starbucks and stop eating out and only buy groceries and downsize your house and drive a crappy car. I teach you all the opposite of those things. And I'm going to show you how to build a life that you can't wait to wake up for. If that's interesting to you, I'm going to start selling my stuff a little bit harder, to be honest with you, because I keep getting so many testimonials that I'm like, I got to get more people going through this stuff. So I've got a free challenge. It's in the links below, the Increase Challenge. Go through that right now. If you're watching this at the time of release, it's free. Go through that. It's 5 days, 5 lessons. It's going to change your perspective on money. It's going to help you eliminate those hidden poverty mindsets that have held you back for years. And we're going to replace it with God's promise for increase so that you can start living this life of abundance and prosperity that the Bible talks about. It'll help you. It's helped over, I think we're over 2 or might even be 3,000 Christians at this point. It's some awesome level like that. So go through that. If you want to go deeper, I've got premium courses and trainings at the end called Increase University, where we've got over 75 videos, trainings, and lessons that are going to help you level up in all areas: finances, investments, passive income, teach you how to create passive income. If you want to get out of your day job, we'll help you with that. We'll help you with your we got teaching on marriage and parenting and finances, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to stop there. But check that stuff out. If you're not where you want to be in life right now, it may just be because you don't have the knowledge and you don't have the action steps. We'll help you with both. Links are in the description. Now, back here, we're going to be talking in the book. If you haven't watched the first videos in this series, go back and watch them. But here's where we're at now. So basically, we've got Arcad, who's the richest man in the city. And the king comes back and he's looking around and he gets this report. Listen to this. He says this: the Babylon at the time, through the ages, its reputation has become known as one of the world's richest cities, but it wasn't always so. See, the riches of Babylon were the result of the wisdom of its people. I'm going to try my best to not just read the chapter, but I think I might. It's just so good. I might just read it. So, when the king returned to Babylon after defeating his enemies, he was confronted with a serious situation. The royal chancellor explained it to the king. He says, "After many years of great prosperity brought to your people because your majesty was building the great irrigation canals and temples and all these different things, it now seems the work has stopped and people are unable to support themselves. The laborers are without employment." And this happens in cities today. I mean, this is so relevant. "The merchants have few customers. The farmers are unable to sell their produce. The people have not enough gold to buy food." "But where's all the gold gone that we spent for these great improvements?" demanded the king. Now listen to this. "It has found its way," responded the chancellor, "into the possession of a very few rich men in our city. It filtered through the fingers of our people as quickly as the goat's milk through the strainer. Now that the stream of gold has ceased to flow, most of our people have nothing to show for their earnings. The king thought for some time and asked, why should so few men be able to acquire all the gold? The chancellor replied, because they know how. One may not condemn a man for succeeding because he knows how. Neither may one with justice take away from a man what he has fairly earned to give to men of less ability. Don't we deal with that now? Man, I remember going on, it was Netflix or Hulu, and I was looking for this money documentary thing I'd heard about. Well, I found a bunch of other interesting money documentaries that caught my attention because of what they were titled. So I started a couple of them, and the first one did this, the second one did this, the third one did this. They all started out like they were going to be talking about wealth and how it works and how it flows, but what they did is actually had an agenda, which a lot of documentaries do, I now realize. They were pushing an agenda in the sense of the wealthy are basically too wealthy, and it's not fair to have so much wealth. They should be sharing it with everybody else. And if they did that, all the world's problems would go away, and there'd never be hunger again, there'd never be poverty again, etc. And there's that growing and dividing gap between the wealthy and the not wealthy, and it makes it sound like it's this. Nothing new under the sun, right? So the king, or the chancellor, says to the king, we shouldn't condemn a man for succeeding because he knows how, right? Why the 1%ers? What's up with the 1%ers? Why them? It's not fair. Why should they get all the wealth? Because they know how. And then he goes on to say, I think this is great. Again, written in 1926. Neither may one with justice take away from a man what he has fairly earned to give to them with less ability. Just so everybody knows, the entrepreneurs and the business owners of our society, we give away a lot in taxes, and then we're always wanting to get taxed more. I got a letter from the president after COVID and Corona to let us know that because we are business owners and entrepreneurs, we will be paying for the stimulus money that he sent out by increasing our taxes. Cool. You know what I mean? Like, it's part of the game, right? But still, it's interesting. Oh, okay. That's all I'm going to say on that. Just let the Lord lead you if you need more information. Okay. So they go on and the king asks the chancellor, well, okay, who is it? Who are these men that made the most money? And they brought up Arcad, you remember from the previous lessons. He said, man, he's the richest man in the city. King says, okay, have him come up to the palace tomorrow. So brings him in, and he says, how did you become so wealthy? Arcad replies, by taking advantage of opportunities that are available to all the good citizens of your city. Thou had nothing to start with? Like, you came from nothing? And he said, all I had was a great desire for wealth. Besides this, I came from nothing. I just had the desire. And so this is cool. And he basically asks, can you teach people? Because what they're saying is, like, if you could teach our citizens on how to do what you did, then we could all prosper, and the city could become the most prosperous city again, which was the king's desire. He wants to have the wealthiest city. So Arcad says, yes, I can teach it. It's actually very practical. Anyone can learn it. It doesn't matter your background. King's pumped. He says, cool. Gathered 100 men. So we're going to start by teaching 100 men these things, and then they'll teach people, and then they'll teach people. So lines them up, and the 100 men in the room are all shocked because they meet Arcad, the wealthiest man in the city, and they're like, wait, this guy's just a normal dude. He's just like us. Huh, this is crazy. And so he talks about how really all he had, he came from a day laborer position, just like most people, but he applied what he calls the 7 cures for a lean purse. So instead of a bank account, they carried a purse, and that's what your money was in. If you have a lean purse, an empty purse, he's got the 7 cures for that. So we're going to dive into the first one and maybe even the second one in this video. So the first thing he does is he lines up the 100 people and he starts going down a row and he says, "My good friend, at what craft workest thou?" The man replied, or no, excuse me, they asked this to Arcad and he said, "I'm a scribe and I carve records upon clay tablets. That's how I got my start." And so he goes through the line and he talked to this guy. He's a meat butcher. He buys goats and raises them and kills them and then sells them. And he says, "Okay, you labor and earn. You have every advantage to succeed that I did." He asks another guy, and it's basically most people are day laborers of some sort. You might be a welder. You might be a salesman. You might be whatever. He's basically saying, it doesn't matter. There is no advantage to what I did. I wrote on clay tablets for people when they commissioned me to write stuff. And I earned coins for doing so. Same way that you do as a butcher, a farmer, a welder, or whatever. Okay, a mechanic. Because thou dost labor and earn, thou hast every advantage to possess as I did. So he asked them all, and they all were in similar positions. "Now, my students, you can see that there are many trades and labors at which men may earn coins. Each of the ways of earning is a stream of gold from which the worker doth divert by his labors a portion to his own purse." Meaning, you get to keep some of that money, right? "Therefore, into the purse," just think bank account, "of each of you flows a stream of coins, large or small, according to his ability. Is this not so?" They all agreed. It was so. Okay, Arcad continued, "If each of you desires to build for himself a fortune, is it not wise to start by utilizing that source of wealth which you've already established?" Meaning, you're getting a paycheck. Shouldn't we start by using that to build your wealth? They all agreed. Yes, we should. Okay, cool. So he turned to a humble man who declared himself to be an egg merchant. And he said, "If you select one of your baskets and put into it each morning 10 eggs, and then take out from it each evening 9 eggs, what will eventually happen?" The man answered, "In time it will become overflowing." Why? "Because each day I put in one more egg than I take out." So if each day you put in $100 to your bank account, but only spent 90 of it, in time, your bank account will be fat and overflowing because every single day you put in a little bit more than you use. Common sense, right? Makes sense. Okay, cool. It's called financial margin. Arcad turned to the class with a smile. "Does any man here have a lean purse?" A small bank account. First they looked amused, then they laughed. Lastly, they waved their purses in jest, basically saying, all of us have a lean purse. Already continued, "Now I shall tell thee the first remedy to learn to cure a lean purse. Do exactly as I have suggested to the egg merchant. For every 10 coins you place within your purse, take out and use only 9. Your purse will start to fatten at once, and its increasing weight will feel good in thy hand and bring satisfaction to thy soul. Decide not what I say because of its simplicity. The truth is always simple." I told you I was going to try not to read the book, but it's just so good. I'm just going to read the book. Okay? "I told you how I built my fortune. This was my beginning too. I carried a lean purse, and basically I was mad all the time because it couldn't do anything I wanted it to do. It was empty. But when I began to take out from my purse but 9 parts of the 10, it began to fatten, and so will yours." Now here's what's interesting, and here's the part I want you to latch onto, because this is exactly what happened to me, and as you guys know who are tithers, this is exactly what happens when you begin to tithe. All right, we teach this in Kingdom Money Mastery, something similar to this. "Now, I will tell you a strange truth, the reason for which I know not. We know though. When I ceased to pay out more than 9/10 of my earnings, basically when I begin to live off 90% of my earnings, I managed to get along just as well. I was not shorter than before. Also, I noticed that money came to me more easily than before." Now listen, we don't take it this way, we take it the other way, but listen. "Surely it's a law of the gods that unto him who keepeth and spendeth not not a certain part of all of his earnings, shall gold come more easily. Likewise, him whose purse is empty does gold avoid. Interesting, right? So even way back then, they were like, I guess not way back then, because this was in the era of the Bible times, sort of. So they were tapping into spiritual laws and principles. He's like, I don't know why, but it still works living off the 90%. It just does. We teach something even stronger. We teach the first 10% of your money you tithe, of course, activate supernatural spiritual blessings and provision. Second thing we do is we store 10% into like an emergency savings kind of. I go deeper in the programs, but we save that till it gets to a certain spot, and then the next 10% we store up for investing, and that's what we're going to dive in here. But you will find, even when you do these certain things, it seems like, how could I afford to do that? It just works out over and over and over again. And he's telling the story back then. It's the same principle, still in effect, still works. Which do you desire most? He's asking the students. Is it the gratification of desires each day, like jewelry, better clothes, more food, things that are quickly gone and forgotten? Or do you desire more substantial things, like gold, lands, herds, merchandise, income-bringing investments? The coins thou takest from thy purse bring the first, meaning the first things in those lists. The stuff that's here and gone real quick. The coins you leave in your purse will bring the latter. Meaning the coins you leave in your purse will bring the investments, will bring the income producing investments, the lands, the houses, the substantial things. Oh, it's interesting, isn't it? So this, my students, was the cure I did discover for my lean purse. For each 10 coins I put in, spend only 9. Debate this among yourselves. If any man proves it untrue, tell me tomorrow when we meet again. All right, so that's interesting. So what he's really saying is you have to build in financial margin into your life. And you will find when you force this to happen first, it just works out. It just does. I'm going to hit cure number 2 because it's more of it's a fast one, and we'll wrap it up with this. So basically, he comes in the next day, and we learn the second cure. How can a man, now some of the students came up to him and said this, how can a man keep 1/10 of all he earns in his purse when all the coins he earns are not enough for his necessary expenses? Again, timeless problems, right? I don't even make enough right now to pay my bills. How on earth can I live off 90%? I can't even live off 100%. And he says this, how many of you yesterday when you came in carried a lean purse? All of us, answered the class. And he says, yet thou do not all earn the same. Some earn much more than others. Some have much larger families to support. Yet all the purses were equally lean. Now I will tell you an unusual truth about men. It is this, that what each of us calls our necessary expenses will always grow to equal our incomes unless we protest to the contrary. Basically, unless we're super intentional, our expenses will always grow in proportion to our income. The margin will not increase. I got a friend of mine whose business just kept doing more and more and more money over the years. 100,000 his first year, 300,000, 600,000, then 800,000 in a year. But he told me, I'm not making any more money because as he makes more sales, he has to increase. He had to buy more machines, more equipment, hire more people, all those things. The expenditures increase with the income unless you do something very intentional to protest it, right? Think about it for your own life. I think we've all experienced that. All men are burdened with more desires than they can gratify. Basically, he's saying this. He was like, look, if all your money is going to just gratify your fleshly desires that are here today and gone tomorrow, he's like, you will always have this problem. He goes, even me, I'm the wealthiest man in the city. Yeah, I can't gratify all my desires. I have limits. I have limits on time. I have limits on different things. He's like, just trust me, it's a game you don't want to play. It's a game you can never win if all you're trying to do is gratify your earthly desires all the time. So what he says here is you need to go through and kind of do a financial audit and make sure that you are spending money only on the things that matter. All right, so it does talk about a budget, and you guys know I'm kind of an anti-budget guy, but I can get on board if you're using it for this reason. See, I'm not trying to get you to live. Most people live the budgeted life out of some weird guilt thing, and they got a weird misconception about what it means to be a good steward. They feel guilty for having money and extra, all this weird stuff. But what it's teaching here is if you implement a budget to where you can live inside that 90% so that you've got money to invest to start building wealth, yeah, I can get on board with that for sure. Because that's what we need to do. You do need to be in a spot where you're not spending every dime that you get. You need financial margin. That's the goal. You want that financial breathing room. That's where, man, you feel more peaceful. You can sleep better at night and different things like that. It's just an amazing place to be. So he's saying if you got a budget for a little bit to get there, and then he does go on to point out, you're going to get those desires. This isn't about just living a life where you only get your necessities and you never do anything fun and you never get the nice stuff. No. He's saying you need a budget for a little bit so that you've got money to invest. And once that money is investing, making you dividends, and those dividends are bringing you dividends and your money's working for you, now let's go get those desires. I think that's great. I can get on board with that for sure. It's a budget with a purpose to bring increase. A budget with a purpose to bring wealth. All right? So if that's what you got to do, that's what you got to do. The purpose of a budget is to help your purse to fatten. It is to assist thee to have your necessities and, as far as much as attainable, your desires. It is to enable thee to realize your most cherished desires by defending them from your casual wishes. Now, we believe in the increase method. We believe you can have both. It's not one or the other. But this is a great way to get started. Go back, do a financial audit. Again, for those of you who are in my Increase University and Kingdom Money Mastery programs, we got a video on how to do this in a way that brings increase, not decrease. It's a healthy way to do it. All right? So go check that out if you need help. That's what I like about it, though. The budget is to help you get your desires and to fatten your purse, not to just live a budgeted life. All right? So I like that. That's the second cure and kind of your second step. So the first step is you're going to learn how to live off of 90%. But most of you guys are already doing that. Most of you guys are tithers. And you know that when you live off 90% and tithe your first 10%, the windows of heaven are open above your life, pouring out blessing, ideas, and opportunities far greater than you could ever handle. Then the next step here is you're going to start storing up another 10% that you're going to be able to use to invest here in a little bit. Second cure for a lean purse is you're going to budget your expenses so that you've got coins to pay for your necessities, to pay for your enjoyments, and gratify the worthwhile desires while not spending more than 90% of your earnings. That's step 2. All right, so in the next video, we're going to get into the third cure on how to make your gold multiply. So make sure, if you're excited for that, like this video, subscribe, hit the bell. You don't want to miss it. We got to learn how to make your gold multiply. So that's going to be an exciting one. But you guys are on the path. I'm coming with you to learn how to put our money to work for us using the lessons in The Richest Man in Babylon. This book is awesome. I'm already super pumped. It's a thin book. It's a quick read. But man, it's what's missing, I think, in the body of Christ and in the church world is teachings on how to actually get wealth. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, hey, just remember, I'm the Lord your God who gave you the power to get wealth, to establish the covenant I made with your ancestors, as it is to this day. That covenant is still in effect. And then we go over to Galatians 3:29, and it tells us that that covenant was made with Abraham, and it's still in effect if you are in Christ. If you've made Jesus the Lord of your life, everything that God promised Abraham now belongs to you. That includes the power to get wealth. The problem is we don't know how to use that power. You got to use it. Otherwise, it just lies dormant. Well, just like RCAD is teaching us, there are some practical steps we can do to put our money to work for us. And I'm not saying you got to learn how to be a Get this out of your mind that it has to be in stocks or crypto even though, I'm a huge fan of investing in crypto. It's made me a lot of money. It's made me a lot of passive income. It's made a lot of my students amazing passive income. Investing in real estate, I got a little bit of that too, but that's not what it's talking about, these specific strategies per se. We'll get into that, but we have to understand the concept first, because then we'll be able to see opportunities to earn and invest like we never have before. It's an exciting time. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're with me. Again, join the Increase Challenge below. You're going to get 5 days of increased coaching with me. You're going to get your financial breakthrough in the next 5 days. It's awesome. Right now, it's free. Take advantage of it. And then at the end, I'll make you a special offer. If you want to join Increase University, I'll get you in for a discount. It's powerful. It's life-changing. And this is stuff you need to know so that you can get new results. I love you. I will see you in the next one.